So we now have the election results. Looks like Trump won. It was a landslide. Trump took the House. The Republicans took the House, the Senate, and the presidency. So this is going to get real interesting real quick. Um, but we're not out of the woods yet. I don't think this is the end. I think it's just the beginning. And so just want to go over a few stories. Um, and I was wrong. I knew Trump was going to win. I just thought they were going to rig it. I said they're going to rig it. There's no way they allowed Trump to get back in office. But it was a landslide, and they didn't rig it. So anyway, so Trump's back, and not only is he back, like I said, they took the House, the Senate, and the presidency, which gave them basically carte blanche now to do whatever they want. So it's going to be curious to see what they do. And they're going to steamroll the Democrats, right? They're going to steamroll their agenda. Now, I think the mass deportations are going to be interesting. But anyway, I'm going to start with this first story. Nissan cut 9,000 jobs. Their profit plunges 93%. Right. So, but you know, they tell you, well, the economy is strong, blah blah blah, etc. Everything's great. Trump's, I think, I'll make another prediction. The economy is going to collapse by the end of 2025, and Trump's and the Republicans are going to have to oversee that. And the reason I say that is because of stories like this coming out, where Trump hasn't even taken office, and this story comes out. Nissan cut 9,000 jobs, profits plunged 93%. So not 10%, 15%, 93. You might as well say 100%. They're not making any money. Nobody's buying their stuff. So Nissan will probably, they may file bankruptcy, right? Economy is collapsing. The German economy is collapsing as well. A story came out today on that. I don't think I'm gonna have time to cover it. Um, let's see. Let's see what we'll cover. This next story I'm gonna cover. So yeah, Trump made deport hundreds of thousands of migrants. You see. So the mass deportations, right, are going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how they implement the mass deportations. Um, yeah, I think that's when it really gets, when the fire gets to burning. Once they start, rounding up these people and deporting them by the tens of thousands, which he's going to do because he ran on that. So, and the Republicans got a mandate to do it. There's nobody can stop them. They got the House, the Senate, and the presidency. So, with a stroke of a pen, he's gonna just start deporting people without paperwork. And all I have to say is, adios, amigos. Adios, muchachos. Hasta luego. Right? I don't know how to speak French, but if I could, I would say something in French you know, and all the other languages, but I don't know any of those, so I'll just say adios. So I'm not a illegal immigrant, so I don't have to worry about that. Not my problem. So, but it's going to be interesting because people are going to get riled up once that starts. Um, what else we got to cover? Oh yeah, unprecedented levels of killing in Lebanon and Gaza by Trump's friends, the Israelis. Right? So the UN decries unprecedented levels of killing in Lebanon and Gaza. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. UN decries unprecedented level of killing in Gaza. Israel condemns Amsterdam attack. So yeah, the bloodbath in the Middle East is going to continue. Trump is probably going to pour gasoline on that fire. Of course, there's nothing he can do. The monster that the Europeans created in Israel is out of control. There's nothing he can do about that. it's going to get out of control. It's going to continue to get out of control. He doesn't have the power to challenge it. They control it. As you know, already know, they control pretty much, the presidency, the Congress, and the Senate. I think that Trump's largest donor was a woman named Adelson who donated $100 million at the behest of the Israelis. So you already know how that's going to go. That's going to spiral. This one is really tricky. Now, Trump's going to pull out of Europe. That's going to be tricky for him, right? Because of something called Operation Gladio. You see? Now, the Gladio operation, which Ukraine is basically a Gladio operation. Same thing with Israel. Israel is basically um, the Israelis and the state of Israel is a Gladio operation. And Gladio is basically just the remnants of the Nazis. Um, it's basically, in a nutshell, just the remnants of the Nazis that came out of Germany who were left in Europe and in that area to run black projects and destabilization projects, assassinations, uh, um, regime change operations, etc. So that's Operation Gladio. That's what Ukraine, all that is Operation Gladio, and so um, that's what's tricky about this. So Trump basically going in and trying to shut down, Operation Gladio 2.0 in Ukraine, you know, that could set off false flags, that could set off, assassination attempts, all kinds of shit, right? We don't, that shit, same with Israel, you know what I mean? Like trying to shut them down. You already know how the Israelis get down. Everybody saw the pagers blow up, right? They blow up pages and cell phones, et cetera, et cetera. So you know how those maniac Nazis get down, right? So, you know, this is just the calm before the storm. So, if you don't know, read a book. I'm not going to make this too long explaining all of that. Next up, next story is on the gold price, right? Gold continues to benefit from safe haven demand as it reaches record high. Um, Spot price of gold has risen to $2,766 per ounce, breaking previous highs. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Several analysts previously telling Newsweek magazine the $3,000 milestone is not far off. Right? So, the U.S. has huge amounts of debt and inflation incoming that's going to continue, and Trump's just going to turn on the spigot because there's nothing he can do about it, right? He can't he can't institute austerity, meaning he can't cut programs because it'll create a backlash amongst the electorate. So they have to continue doing what they're doing. They have to expand on that. So it's baked into the cake. Inflation will continue. People will buy gold, Bitcoin, silver, etc. Um, yeah, until they're gonna it's gonna go hyper. It's gonna have to go into hyperinflation. That's the only thing. They're gonna keep printing money. China, I believe, just printed about $1.7 trillion and dumped it into the Chinese economy. Let me see if I can pull up a story on that real quick. So yeah, here we see some stories of China unveils $1.7 trillion package. China's Ministry of Finance have announced a 5-year, 12 trillion yuan, $1.7 trillion plan to address local government debt pressures, though structured debt swaps, special purpose bonds, and targeted redevelopment. So all around the world, the governments are just printing paper money and dumping it on the fire, right? Dumping it into the economies. So that's what's causing inflation. And the numbers are probably a lot higher than what they're telling you. And therein lies why gold prices are going up, right? We have stories like this about gold, right? gold prices are hitting all-time highs because the debasement, when people see the paper currency being debased, they know that the paper, smart money knows the paper is going down, so I better shift my paper money over to hard asset commodities like silver, gold, Bitcoin that are mechanisms for protecting my capital and even going up in price as everyone shifts to the, it's just like, okay, if you move into a neighborhood first, you say, okay, these houses in this area are going to go up in price. So I move into gold, I move into the silver house, I move into the Bitcoin house, and I buy these houses before anybody else realizes that they're valuable. And so, as other people need somewhere to live, they try to move into these areas and buy houses. But it's a gated community, and only a certain amount of houses are in that community. What happens? The price of the houses shoot up in value. That's what's happening to Bitcoin and gold and silver. And it's going to be, what's going to happen in silver. Silver is gonna be the Bitcoin of precious metals very soon. It's gonna shock the world. Go watch that movie called Looper with Bruce Willis. It's gonna be something like that. But yeah, so that's what happens. So the smart money is already buying gold, silver, Bitcoin, comic books, artwork, Rolex watches. People are buying things that hold value or go up in value. And when other people, when the stupid people figure it out that the money has been debased in China and in everywhere, like for instance in Germany, their economy is collapsing because they refuse to print money. They're trying to save the budget, but it's blowing up their economy. Their economy is about to collapse because the government refuses to print more money and dump it into the system like in the U.S. and create government debt. So they're about to implode in Germany. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, right? Because that's how that plays out will be the same thing in the United States. So it looks like uh, Europe is going to implode economically first, particularly in places like Germany, and then it's going to spread to the United States, right? Because they're printing money, so they're going to get hyperinflation, but the German is going to collapse. You see, so it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But anyway, that's what's happening with the gold. Why gold? So why is this gold price almost $3,000 in 2024? You know, you got gold shooting up hundreds of percent. You got Bitcoin shooting up thousands of percent. It's because everyone is looking to put their money that's being debased, like the Chinese, right? Like the report I just showed you in the Chinese, right? They're looking, like in China, the people in China are probably, the citizens, they see 1.7 trillion being dumped into to support the government, print it. So they're gonna buy, the Chinese are gonna buy, Bitcoin, gold, silver, to protect themselves from the currency being debased. And it's worse in the United States, you know, and over the next Trump administration is probably gonna have to, they're gonna probably add 6 trillion to the budget. So I'm thinking that more than likely the U.S. More than likely the gold price. There are people predicting that the gold price may be um, $10,000 by the end of 2025. Somewhere around 2025, 2026, the gold price may be $10,000 because everybody, all of the smart money is shifting their money into gold, as a safe haven from the money print that's going to be printed by, the Trump administration and the Chinese and the European governments to run these wars and prop up all this, you know, prop up their wars, et cetera, social programs, et cetera, right? And so that the central bankers can siphon off, billions of dollars, trillions of dollars, and make themselves filthy rich. So the smart money is shifting into precious metals, things like that. And so yeah, you got people predicting gold will be $10,000. It's about 2,600 right now. So that tells you. I mean, you see companies collapsing. Um, you see companies like Nissan collapsing. Right. Let's go back to that Nissan story. Right. So you see companies like Nissan collapsing. So um, the writing's on the wall, so to speak. So um, yeah, and so I don't know. I mean, that's a hell of a prediction. The gold to $10,000 by the end of 2025. But I mean, let's just say gold doubled in price, which it has recently. That would make it close to $6,000. So even if it ain't 10, 15,000, it's close. But that lets you know that the state of the economy, if that happens, will be horrible. You see, regardless of what the propaganda on the TV says. When you have companies totally collapse, and Nissan has totally collapsed, 100%. That I mean, if you don't understand what 93% profits loss means, imagine if your check, you went to work and your check was cut by 93%, right? Can you imagine that? So, this is going to continue to spread, right? As the economy cracks, these companies are going to be literally going out of business. You may see Ford go out of business. Nissan, these companies, different companies go out of business. Literally overnight. They're going to need bailouts, you know what I mean, from government bailouts. These large companies. And if they don't get bailed out, they'll, bought out, they'll go out of business. And you'll see that kind of thing happening. You'll see, unemployment is already way higher than they're reporting. But the unemployment numbers don't mean anything. But once the unemployment starts going up, you're really in trouble. You see, once you see skyrocketing unemployment numbers, which Nissan just laid off 9,000 people, that's going to spread. So as you see these employment numbers actually go up, now it will mean something, right? So you got skyrocketing unemployment, deportation, tens of thousands of immigrants being deported, um, inflation, food prices, gas, everything skyrocketing. That's pretty much what you're looking at going into the Trump administration. So, for not like I said, not to mention the other events, Operation Gladio coming out of Europe and out of Israel. You see, that's going to put pressure on the United States, and we don't know how that's going to blow back. You see, you don't know like I said, it could blow back in the form of some type of false flags, assassinations, all kinds of stuff going on. So Trump is not it's not the end, it's just the beginning. You know. So for people think, oh well, yeah, we good now. We're gonna make America great again. I would think again about that. So that's all I got.